The letter arrived without a return address, no name, no explanation, just Eleanor Hayes typed neatly on the front, as if whoever sent it wanted the envelope to feel official, certain. Eleanor noticed it because no one wrote to her anymore. Bills came by email. Family came not at all. So when she found the envelope resting on the kitchen table, she stood there longer than necessary, staring at it as though it might speak first. Inside was a single page. "I'm not asking for forgiveness. I just need you to know what happened that night." Eleanor sat down. Her hands moved slowly, the way they did when memory carried weight. The letter continued. "You trusted me. I broke that trust, and your daughter paid the price." Eleanor's breath caught. She had not heard her daughter's name spoken aloud in over 12 years. Even in thought, it felt dangerous, like touching a bruise that never healed. The letter did not mention a name. It didn't need to. Eleanor knew exactly who had written it. Daniel, her former son-in-law. A man she had once welcomed into her home, fed at her table, defended when others doubted him. A man who left one afternoon with a suitcase and never came back, taking Eleanor's daughter with him and cutting all contact that followed. Eleanor read the letter again. "I told her you didn't want to see her. I told her you were ashamed. I told her it was better if she forgot you." The room felt smaller. Eleanor pressed her palm flat against the table, steadying herself. She remembered the last conversation she had with her daughter, a rushed phone call, a misunderstanding that never found correction, silence that grew teeth. The letter continued, slower now. "I'm dying, and I can't carry this lie with me anymore." Eleanor folded the page carefully, as if respect might soften the blow. Outside, a car passed, a dog barked. The world continued without pause. But something inside Eleanor shifted, because if the letter was true, then the years of absence were built on deception. And if that was true, then somewhere her daughter had lived an entire life, believing she had been abandoned. Eleanor stood and walked to the window. She wondered how many lives are quietly shaped by lies, spoken once and never corrected. And she wondered whether the truth, arriving this late, was an act of mercy or cruelty. Eleanor did not sleep that night. The letter stayed on the kitchen table, folded neatly where she had placed it, but its words moved freely through the house. Every room seemed to echo with what had been taken from her, not stolen loudly, quietly, carefully, with intention. By morning, she had made a decision she had avoided for 12 years. She would look for her daughter. The problem was, Eleanor had no idea where to begin. Daniel had been thorough when he disappeared. He changed numbers, closed accounts, moved states. He understood something Eleanor hadn't at the time. Silence works best when it's complete. Eleanor started with the past. She opened an old drawer in the hallway, where she kept things she couldn't bring herself to throw away. Birthday cards returned unopened, school photos sent back. Without explanation, a voicemail transcript she had printed and read until the ink faded. She found her daughter's maiden name written on the back of an envelope. She traced it with her finger, whispering it once, just to be sure it still existed. It did. That afternoon, Eleanor went to the public library. She hadn't stepped inside one in years, but the librarian didn't rush her. She listened as Eleanor explained, haltingly, what she was looking for. No drama, just facts. "I'm trying to find my daughter," Eleanor said. "I think she was told I didn't want her." The librarian nodded. the way people do when they've heard this kind of pain before. They searched marriage records, address histories, old phone listings. Time passed quietly. Then the librarian stopped scrolling. "This might be her," she said. Eleanor leaned forward. The name was there, slightly changed, a new last name, a city 2 states away, alive. Eleanor closed her eyes. Alive meant possibility. Possibility meant responsibility. On the bus ride home, Eleanor replayed the letter in her mind. Daniel's words felt deliberate, confessed, but controlled. He had chosen the moment of his truth carefully. Near the end, when consequences no longer threatened him. That anger surprised her. She had expected grief, relief, fear, but anger arrived first. Anger that Daniel had shaped her daughter's reality with a lie. Anger that he had robbed Eleanor of years she could never recover. Anger that the truth came only when it was convenient. That evening, Eleanor sat at her desk and wrote a letter of her own. She rewrote it 3 times. The first version sounded defensive. The second sounded desperate. The third sounded honest. She kept it simple. "I never stopped loving you. I never told you to go. If you don't want to answer, I will understand." She didn't explain everything, not yet. Truth, Eleanor realized, needed to arrive gently, especially when it had been delayed so long. At the post office, her hands shook as she slid the envelope across the counter. Once it was gone, she felt exposed, as if she had reopened a wound without knowing whether it would heal or deepen. Days passed, no response. Then one evening, the phone rang, not her landline, her cell phone, a number she didn't recognize. Eleanor stared at it until the ringing stopped. A moment later, a text appeared. "Is this my mother?" Eleanor sat down slowly. The question was simple, but nothing in her life had ever carried more weight. Eleanor stared at the phone until the screen dimmed. "Is this my mother?" She read the message again, slower this time, as if the meaning might change if she approached it carefully enough. 12 years collapsed into a single sentence. Not accusation, not anger. Just a question asked by someone who had lived too long without certainty. Eleanor's fingers hovered over the screen. She did not want to answer with panic. She did not want to answer with explanation. She wanted to answer with truth. "Yes," she typed, "if you want me to be." The reply came several minutes later. "I don't know what I want. I just need to know what was real." Eleanor understood that feeling intimately. They began slowly. Texts first, short messages that tested the ground. Facts instead of feelings, work, weather, the shape of ordinary life that had continued without her. Her daughter's name was Claire. Seeing it written felt like touching something fragile that had survived fire. After a week, Claire agreed to speak on the phone. Eleanor waited for the call, seated at the same kitchen table where she had read Daniel's letter. She didn't want new ground for this conversation. She wanted history present. When the phone rang, Eleanor answered on the first ring. "Hello," Claire said. The voice was older than Eleanor remembered, stronger, guarded. "Hello, Claire," Eleanor replied. "Thank you for calling." There was a pause, then a breath. "He told me you didn't want me," Claire said quietly. "He said you thought I was a mistake." Eleanor closed her eyes. "I never said that," she replied. "I never believed it." The silence stretched. Eleanor did not fill it. "I built my life around that idea," Claire continued, "that I was unwanted, that staying away was doing you a favor." Eleanor felt the truth settle between them like something heavy but shared. I should have fought harder, Eleanor said. I should have found you sooner. That part is on me. Claire did not respond immediately. I don't know how to forgive him, she said. Or you. I'm not asking you to, Eleanor answered. I'm only asking you not to carry what doesn't belong to you. Weeks passed. Calls became longer. Stories emerged. Misunderstandings were corrected. Not all at once, not cleanly. Healing rarely is. Eleanor learned she had grandchildren, 2 of them, a boy who loved drawing, a girl who asked difficult questions. Claire learned that Eleanor had kept every returned letter. That silence had never meant absence. They met in person on a quiet afternoon at a cafe halfway between their cities. No cameras, no witnesses. Just 2 women who had been shaped by the same lie in different ways. They hugged briefly, then sat, then talked, not about the past at first, about whom they were now. Later, Eleanor asked a question she had avoided. What would have happened if he hadn't written that letter? Claire considered it. I would have lived my whole life believing something false, she said. And you would have died carrying a silence you didn't deserve. Eleanor nodded. Truth, even late, had changed the ending. Not by restoring everything that was lost, but by preventing the loss from continuing. Some families are broken by betrayal. Others are reshaped by honesty. And sometimes the bravest act isn't forgiveness. It's telling the truth, even when it arrives years too late.